Let's start with the idea of a physical quantity. What exactly is a physical quantity? A physical quantity is a quantity that can be measured. So anything that you can measure is a physical quantity. For example, how much water do you have in your water bottle? Maybe you have 1,000 ml in your water bottle. Or how much does your table weigh? You can say that your table weighs, let's say, 10 kilograms. That would be a lot of weight, but I think that's reasonable. So a quantity that can be measured as a physical quantity. Measurable. Now, a physical quantity has two characteristics. It must have a magnitude and an SI unit. Let's take an example of a physical quantity and explore these two characteristics in detail. Let's say, as I mentioned, an example earlier, that your water bottle contains 1,000 ml of water. Okay? Now, this number, 1,000, tells you the amount of water in your water bottle. Or let's take another example. Let's say your table has a length of 1 meter. 1 meter tall table. The number 1 tells you the size of the table's length, right? So that number that represents the size of the physical quantity is the magnitude. And the unit is giving you more context into the type of physical quantity you're referring to. For example, the unit milliliter tells you that you're talking about liquid of some sort, and the unit meter tells you that you're referring to length. Okay, so the SI unit is a standard unit that's used worldwide, and it gives you more context into the type of physical quantity you're referring to. Okay, now I hope that the idea of physical quantity is clear. To wrap that up, I'll just repeat that. If you have 4 and 8, you know that 4 is smaller than 8. So the number tells you the magnitude or size of the quantity. But if I just threw a 4 at you, you wouldn't be sure what I'm referring to. If I said that that's a 4 bag of potatoes, you wouldn't be sure what I'm talking about. But if I said that's a 4-kilogram bag of potatoes, you would know that I'm talking about the mass of the bag, right? So the unit, kilograms, gives you more context into the idea or concept that I'm talking about. 8 kilograms here refers to mass. Okay, now let's hop onto the type of physical quantities. We have two types of physical quantities. The first one is a scalar. What I can do is write scalar on the left side and vector on the right side. Since both of them are physical quantities, both of them have the characteristics of a physical quantity, which is an SI unit and magnitude. So both of them have a magnitude and an SI unit. So if both of them have a magnitude and an SI unit, what differentiates them? The difference between these two is direction. Vectors have an additional property or characteristic, which is the direction. Okay? For example, if I told you that a car is moving at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, that is the scalar quantity, okay? But if I told you that a car is moving at 40 kilometers per hour due north, if I specified the direction, that would become a vector quantity, and we have another term for it that I will mention just in a few minutes. So now, hopefully, you know the difference between scalars and vectors. To reiterate, a scalar Quantity is a quantity that has a magnitude in SI units. It's a quantity that you can measure, and the magnitude tells you the size of the quantity, and the SI unit tells you what type of quantity you're talking about. And a vector quantity is a scalar quantity with a direction. Okay, so you have an additional property, an additional characteristic that is the direction. And when something has a direction, we call it a vector quantity.